We send our youth to war. We ask them to fight, to kill, to survive. And then when they come back, we expect them to integrate back into society as if nothing happened. This is a story of two soldiers, Francisco and Brad. Both went to war, both came back wounded, but not in the way you think. Francisco fought in Afghanistan and Brad in Iraq. When they came home, they brought back something with them, an enemy that they could not fight or even outrun. It's called PTSD, post-traumatic stress disorder, or shell shock, as they used to call it, and it affects countless soldiers. Back home, both Frankie and Brad violated the law and were arrested. Although years apart, both soldiers stood in front of the same judge and were given the same chance. Today, we're going to dive into California's Veterans Court. What it is, how it functions, and what happens when you get there. If you like this type of content, like, subscribe, share, and definitely comment. Let's talk about this. My name is Dmitry Gorovich, Mr. G, and this is my spot. I've been a criminal defense lawyer for 30 years, and I got stories. So sit back, relax, and welcome to my world. It was summer midday. I was in my office working on a brief when the phone rang. On the other end was Francisco. Mr. Gorovich, he said, I need your help. I got arrested and I have no idea what to do. A few hours later, he was sitting in my office. He was about 5'7", 140 pounds, in his mid-20s. He was wearing jeans and a gray t-shirt and a G-Shock on his wrist. And he looked utterly scared. Frankie, I said, why don't you tell me, why are you here? He took a deep breath and started telling me a story. Francisco was a highly decorated soldier. He did 2 tours in Afghanistan, participated in many battles, saved many lives. But something happened that changed his life forever. This something he brought back with him from Afghanistan. And this something caused him to get arrested. He decided to go out with his Marine buddies for some beer. He parked his car in a parking structure, parking garage, and went out to the bar. After 2-3 hours, he came back, got into his car, and was trying to leave the parking garage. He was on the 3rd level, waiting in line for all the cars that were lined up down the ramp to get out of the structure. He looked at the car ahead of him, saw the lights, smelled the exhaust, and all of a sudden, just like that, he was back in Afghanistan. He hit his gas, plowed into the car in front of him, veered to the right, and tried to squeeze his car between the car that was in front of him and the parked cars that were parked against the wall. He managed to get about 2 car lengths in before he stopped. He got out of his car and ran all the way to the side of the parking structure. And he jumped on top of the half wall. He looked down, closed his eyes, and jumped. Luckily for him, he did not get too far because somebody grabbed his belt from behind and pulled him back. That guy saved Frankie's life. But as a result, Frankie was arrested, charged with assault with a deadly weapon, the car being the deadly weapon, a DUI, and reckless driving. Frankie, I said, why don't you tell me what happened in Afghanistan? Frankie was on patrol in the Helmand province in Afghanistan when an IED exploded. In fact, 2 of them. It tore through his vehicle, killing 2 of his buddies. He managed to crawl out the door right into a storm, literal storm. Bullets flying everywhere, people yelling and screaming, explosions. They were under attack. He shot back, survived, but most of his team didn't make it. And that caused a huge, huge impact on him. He was wounded. His mind was wounded. He was suffering from PTSD. I've seen this before many times. And so once I realized what was happening, I immediately referred him to Veterans Court. And wouldn't you know it, Frankie was diagnosed with PTSD. Brad's story started out the same way. He served his country, and when he came back, he was just not the same. I knew Brad's dad from the court system. He was a cop, a good cop, an honest one, the type of cop that you really want to have doing this job. One evening, my cell phone rang, and on the other line was Brad's father. Dmitry, he said, I need your help. My son got arrested. I don't know what happened or why, but we bailed him out. He doesn't want to talk to us. I really need your help. So I jumped into my car and I drove to their house that evening. When I walked in, the whole family was there. Brad's mom and dad were sitting on the couch, his older brother as well. His wife was sitting on the floor, cross-legged, holding their daughter. Brad grabbed the dining room chair, pulled it out, straddled it, and I did the same. I looked at Brad and I said, "What's going on? What happened? Why are we here?" He said, "Hey, listen, my wife and I went out to dinner, and while we were having dinner, there was a group of guys eyeing my wife. So I turned to them and I said, listen, quit it, or I'm going to make you quit." One thing led to another. He said we ended up outside, and they attacked me. I could predict the ending at that point. You see, Brad was a former high school wrestler. He used to box as well when he was younger. This guy was an absolute weapon. He was about 6 feet tall, about 220, all muscle, beard. He had a sleeve tattoo. He looked the part, and he could fight. And this guy took out 2 guys. The other 3 ran. When the cops got there, the 2 guys Brad fought were barely moving. One had a broken arm, the other had broken ribs and a bloodied face. Brad went a little too far. So I looked at him and I said, "Brad, listen, I understand you're telling me what happened, but I need to understand why. What was going through your mind when this was happening?" "Nothing," he said. "They were just being a-holes. I needed to teach him a lesson." I said, "No, Brad, you gotta tell me the truth, brother. If I'm gonna help you, you need to level with me." That's when he let everybody know. Just like Frankie, he snapped. He wasn't outside that restaurant that night. He was back in Iraq, fighting insurgents. He told me a story. One of the last battles he was in, they were on patrol, and they were ambushed. Bullets flying everywhere. 2 of his guys went down immediately. He ran for the building where the fire was coming from. He cleared out the first floor, killing 2 insurgents, and he ran upstairs. When he got to the roof, he was attacked by a guy with a knife. He took a slice to the shoulder before he finished the guy off, and another slice to the face. Half his unit was gone, and Brad was never the same afterwards. He felt guilty for having survived. "Why me?" he kept saying. "Why me?" So I called the DA's office, and I told him that we got a soldier on our hands, and this guy needs help. I had the case transferred to Veterans Court. He had severe PTSD. You see, PTSD isn't just bad memories. These are memories so vivid you could taste it. You're literally there, back in Afghanistan, back in Iraq, fighting for your life. It affects a lot of soldiers. A lot of them come back damaged in this way. And it's a very difficult injury to heal. Veterans Court was actually designed to do just that. The purpose of Veterans Court is not necessarily to punish. The purpose is to heal. Because the understanding is that the crime, whatever that crime is that you've been arrested for, would not have happened but for your mental health condition, your PTSD. And so the result is the court is trying to heal these soldiers, to make sure it never happens again, and to make sure that they can go on with their lives, and that their families can go on with their lives as well. Because PTSD doesn't just affect the soldier, it affects the entire family. Everybody around this soldier suffers. Veterans Court is not easy. It lasts up to 24 months. And it includes therapy sessions, addiction treatment, frequent check-ins with the court, and many other things that a soldier has to do. There's a committee that actually decides what to do with the case. It consists of the judge, the prosecutor, the defense attorney, probation, counselors, mental health counselors, as well as veteran mentors. This group of people makes sure that the veteran gets through this process successfully, if at all possible. The court asks 4 questions. Are you eligible? Are you disabled? Can you be treated for this disability? And will you comply? And if you comply, then there's a 5th step, and that is dismissal. Francisco struggled with therapy. He had a difficult time opening up, difficult time letting go of the memories. What worked for him was something called EMDR. And what that is a process by which therapy tries to break the cycle of these memories coming forth so vivid you could smell them. And Frankie struggled until he met another veteran he could identify with. And that guy took Frankie by the hand and led him out of his memories. Slowly, very slowly, Frankie started to come around. He completed the program eventually. He stopped drinking. His case was dismissed, and he came back to his family. His story was a success. Brad had an even tougher time than Frankie. He simply refused to open up. No matter what anybody did, Brad simply would not let go of his memories. He started drinking heavily and got into drugs. He tested dirty a few times. And the judge told him, listen, one more slip up and you're out of this program. You're back in regular criminal court. Brad listened for a few weeks, and then he started to skip his sessions. Once, twice, 3 times. And then one evening, he got into a fight with his neighbor, broke the guy's jaw, ran back into the house. To a screaming wife, Brad grabbed a pistol, tackled his wife, and put the gun right up to her throat. He was arrested again and thrown out of the program. He never made it through. The end result was state prison. It's all over now. He's out, living on his own. His wife divorced him, dealing with his demons all by himself. 2 soldiers with very similar experiences in war and very different outcomes in Veterans Court. What do you guys think? Do you think Veterans Court is too lenient? Should we dismiss cases for veterans with PTSD if they go through this program? Or should they be punished like regular people? Let me know in the comments below. Let's talk about this. And if you know anybody that's suffering from PTSD or shell shock, as they used to call it, I'll leave a link below where this person can reach out for help. If you like this type of content, please like, subscribe, comment, and share. My name is Dmitry Gurovich, Mr. G. This is my spot, and these are my stories.